All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, to today's Water Cooler Chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer, whether it's orchestrating, delegating, broadcasting, transcoding, or developing. We are here to ask questions and get some answers. So thank you all for joining in. Today will be a regular Water Cooler Chat, so we'll go ahead with introductions. So hello, everyone. I am Titan, been running the Titan Node Orchestrator since April 21. And today my topic is around the big announcement with ZK, Zero Knowledge rollups that have happened in the last week. We got Zksync and as well as Polygon ZK EVM. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that. And that's my topic. And how that might affect Livepeer, of course. But yeah, that's my topic. Chase, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic? Oh, you might be busy. Don't worry if you don't unmute yourself, it's fine. We'll come back around to you. Just let me know when you're ready. Bora, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hi everybody, my name is Broa. I have no topic for this week. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us. Mike, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic? You're still muted. I don't know if you're talking or not. Mike Zup, are you there?
He may be where others.
I'm here. Sorry, Mike Zuper. Been running the Zode app work since January 22. No topics today. I mean, again, I'm always going to bring up the topic of where the broadcasters. What are we doing to get the next broadcaster on the platform? So anyone want to jump into that convo, I'm all for it. But
very good. That's a good topic, and I'd like to bring that up too. So yes, that will definitely be a topic. So thank you for joining us, Mike, as always. Zoro, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
My name is Zoro, a member of the Pixel Field Orchestrator. We've been running it since last October time. No specific topic today, just listening. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for joining us. Papa Bear, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Sure. I am Papa Bear, been running the Solar Farm Orchestrator for about a year and a half or so. And I do have a topic, but I'm not really sure how to phrase this, as I tend to have a hard time doing. Just like with test streams, I was having an issue with like there were two different things. I was seeing like in LA where I've got a good connection and it was like really stable for I don't know a while, and then I don't know for like 3 days it just like my download times just went to crap, but everything was still working, no errors or anything like that, and I just think that I just didn't know where to go to look for like I just didn't know what to do to try and troubleshoot it. I couldn't tell if it was on my end, is it something on Livepeer's end. And then I've also noticed that like when you sometimes like in another region, maybe I'll get like an error that says like no orchestrator, and it seems to just be for like maybe a segment or two. But I mean, clearly the orchestrator's there because it's doing work and getting the rest of the stuff done. So I'm just kind of wondering like if anyone's got any thoughts on like if there's anything that we can either I guess how to like troubleshoot test stream stuff, and if there's anything that maybe we can ask for from Livepeer, or if there's something that we can do on our own to create better test streams with better metrics that give more useful data. And I'll let you put that into a sentence, Titan.
Yeah. So what I got was test streams, download times went bad, error handling, kind of thing.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Sorry, maybe I
wasn't.
No,
together. That's exactly it.
There we go. A comma delineated list of items there. I think that's a good topic because I think that coincides nicely with the observability goals of Livepeer Inc.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. So I don't know if we are giving them requests for things we want to see observability towards, or are we gonna are they going to just give us some stuff and we go with that?
Either way, imagine if you could read the broadcaster logs and you were able to just look back and go, hey, well, even would be nice if we saw some test stream broadcaster logs, right? That would,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, anything would be good. I mean, test streams, because we get those on a regular basis, but it would be great to see like the actual, broadcaster stuff, like when what I'm really curious is because I
What
know you
I'd
had
like
mentioned
to see.
is
Sorry, I
why.
guess this is just intro,
ahead.
so I don't want to get
Yeah.
into it. But go ahead.
Yeah. We can stop for now and go into it when we get to the
we'll
topic.
definitely hop around back to this topic for sure. So, yes, observability goals. I wrote that down as another item, so it's good. Thank you, Papa Bear, for joining us as always. Frank, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Yeah, sure. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Frank. I'm running Ultima Ratio node since 2 years now, and I have no topic tonight. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for joining us. Pawn, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Pon. I've been running my own orchestrator for last year. We have no specific topic today, so I'm just going to be listening in. Thanks.
Very cool. Thank you for joining us. Arun, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic? Is that how you say it? Arun at pixelfield.xyz. Are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Arunas from Pixelfield. My friend Zoro has introduced himself and us, and well, just to recap, we're running the Pixelfield org for 6 months. To be honest, there is no specific topic to discuss, but I just wanted to use an opportunity and say thank you for the grant, which was just recently approved, and just wanted to say thank you, and looking forward for it's going to take us. Okay.
Oh, yes, that's right. You guys were awarded the startup grant. Congratulations on that. I believe DeFi.crypto is your sponsor, so big shout out to DeFi for being out there.
Thank you, DeFi.
XOXO.
Congratulations. Awesome. Great to see it. I'm great to see the startup grant has made some big headway over the last year and a half. So, yeah, like Doug was saying in the quarterly call, the minimum stake for LPT is now like 600. And so there'll be a point at which the startup grant won't be able to get you in the top 100 eventually, I think. So, yeah, this is it's been a cool little program. I'm glad you guys are a part of it. So welcome. Thank you for joining us, Arun. John, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hey everyone, this is John with Elite Encoder. I've been operating Orchestrator since October 2021. Topics today, I'd like to build on Papa's topic about observability, and one time we talked about maybe developing a testing tool. I know there's been progress on that. Maybe we could pick that up soon. And some talk around like pricing. It would be interesting to see if we could develop different pricing models for VOD and live streams. I think that might help some smaller O's as well that might be having trouble with tickets, get their price per pixel up.
Very good.
That's all I've got today.
I like it. Thank you so much for joining us, John. Ben, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hey everyone, Ben with the Authority Null Orchestrator. I've been running for over a year now. No topic here today, just listening in.
Very good. I have another topic I want to add, which is the OMEX session limit that Ad Astra and John have been working on. So yeah, pretty excited for that little upgrade that hopefully they'll pull into the GitHub soon. And yeah.
Can we also get an update on the router, how the router's coming along? I know I'm in that group, but I only tune in occasionally, so I'm not exactly sure where the status is, if it's getting close to being publicly available.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, the router is, that channel is a pretty fast-moving channel. lots of chit chat. So, yeah, no, I've been running the router now on Livepeer Academy for 2 weeks in its final stage, and let me bring up some results here real quick. And they look identical to Titan Node. So what's happening is I'm just sending streams from, obviously, Livepeer Academy to Titan Node to Transcode. And so ideally what you'd want to see is identical results between Livepeer Academy and Titan Node production, which would mean that, yeah, the router is working at least as equivalently as GeoDNS works. So that seems to be the case. Been 2 weeks, and there was only one hiccup I saw where one London test stream came in with really high download time, which I was really confused about. Maybe Papa Bear, you were seeing the same issue, but yeah, as long as the uploads and download times are the equivalent of Titan node production, then that means that they're routing to the correct nodes. Yeah, and there hasn't really been any issues otherwise. So I'm pretty excited for the router. Probably do a merge or some sort of pull request in the next coming week. I'll have to talk to Ad Astra about that. But I would say version 1 is probably complete.
Cool.
So, yeah. And yeah, so it works correctly and doesn't seem to affect performance. Although it's going to be really hard putting into production because it's just so hard to tell what the issues are if it's in production but yeah, the test streams look fine, so hopefully.
Why do you say it's hard to tell what's going on when it's in production but not now?
I guess it's only hard for me because I also run a pool of transcoders, and so if I get higher than normal transcode times, it's just I don't have any control over that. So someone here with static O/T setups that is very consistent, they'll probably be able to notice any issues with the router much quicker.
And the issues you notice shouldn't those just be the upload and download times, not the transcode times?
Which is correct, yeah. It's quite obvious that Singapore has a download time of 1 second and an upload time of 3 seconds. It's you're not going to get that from anywhere else.
Consistent, it's right. It's working.
Yeah, it's same with Sao Paulo.
Yeah, exactly. Right. If that went to EU, you wouldn't see a 1 second or point whatever it was.
Yeah, the only ones that I can't tell the difference sometimes would be something like Chicago and New York, just because they are pretty close. But yeah,
I understand what you mean now. Yeah, I got you.
So yeah, otherwise the router seems to work pretty well. Seems to be you can point it to any one of your router spots and it'll redirect it to wherever you want to send it. And so what we've been talking about now is how do we improve the router to maybe now deal with things like price discovery. So when a broadcaster sends a VOD job, we're hoping that there's some indication that it's VOD, whether it's in the stream session ID or if it's flagged somehow as VOD. The router can then you can set settings in your router to say, hey, listen, VOD jobs can go to this super high capacity, low bandwidth node that can handle the lower price. And then if it's a live stream, you'd say, well, no, we're going to optimize strictly for high bandwidth and speed. And so we can manage the loads, not at an O level, but at a router level. So,
but you would need Livepeer to flag the streams to do that.
Yeah, so Xenon already does that in their session ID. They add the word VOD in it, so it's obvious which ones are VOD and which ones aren't.
Then the reason I asked is Ben, I made a request, and maybe Ben, maybe you can post it in the chat for Livepeer to add something along those lines. And I guess the more people that comment on that, better chance we have of having Livepeer.
Yeah, Hunter pushed back a little bit, like kind of wondering why that would be useful. So if anyone wants to go in and drop a comment, show some support on that, that would be great. I'll put it in the chat.
Please do. Yeah, I just think if VOD and live streaming have two different kind of needs on the network, which I think we could all agree that they could even have different workflows because they should be handled differently. Then as orchestrators, we should be able to, manage that type of workload and prioritize things, right?
Right, and Hunter was kind of like a segment to segment. It shouldn't be treated any differently, but we've seen firsthand that VOD streams hit our GPUs quite differently than regular streams.
Yeah, and I think there's less time sensitivity towards VOD, so I would just prefer to send it to, like a VOD job. You could say, well, the VOD originated in the EU, but my orchestrators are maxing out in the EU. Let's start sending the VOD work to the US. It's farther away, but it doesn't matter. It's VOD. So you could keep you could say at 90% capacity for live, I'm going to start sending VOD work elsewhere because I want to keep that open for live video.
So is there still the issue with the router where it has to ping all the routers? Like that's how you explained it worked last week, I think, right? When a broadcaster sends a stream, it's like pinging all the routers that you have to figure out which one is the best one to route through.
Yeah, so we fixed it so you can turn that off.
So how does it function right now?
Right?
It caches. Yeah, so it has to. So when an unknown IP, well, Brad's here, so you can help. But when an unknown IP address comes in, it will ask all the routers to ping the originating IP and determine which one's the closest, right? And then it caches that information so that when that IP ever asks again, it'll just return its saved information, so it's instant.
And what if that O goes down?
I don't think we've gotten that far.
Okay. Curiosity.
Yeah.
No, we haven't got that far yet.
I mean,
like the step 2 or 3.
Gotcha.
Figuring that out.
Yeah, that's
But the O's do have a ping gRPC endpoint, so in theory we could add it somewhat easily. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, I don't think.
So every now and then it would kind of test the O to make sure it's still alive.
I don't know if that would cover every possibility of an O going down, but it should cover most, because if it's responding to that, you would think it's still up and functioning. But if, say, the one transcoder of that O is off or not working correctly, which I run into sometimes, it won't figure that out, most likely.
Interesting. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
I mean, that just comes down to features. Those are features. So, making sure that if the O is down, then how does it handle that? But yeah, we just got to the point where we wanted to see if we could actually first make the idea of a router work, and I think we're there.
So let me ask you this then: on the first, when you get a first request from a broadcaster, is that quite a bit slower then because nothing's cached and it's got to wait for the pings to come back from everywhere?
Yeah, I think the default timeout is 2.5 seconds. So if it doesn't,
which is adjustable too, you can move that down to say 1 second, 1.5 seconds, and just once it hits that timeout, it sends the fastest one it has back.
And so, I mean, do you have a pretty low chance of getting a stream from a broadcaster on the first request from that broadcaster?
I really don't think it's based on discovery speed anymore. Although I haven't had a chance to go back and really look at that again, but I think they removed that part. where it uses like the broadcaster keeps a pool of like sessions, and within that pool of sessions, it tracks how fast you're sending back segments to the broadcaster. And I think it predominantly uses that to figure out which one to pick.
Yeah,
So
it
that's not
uses-
really the discovery process. That's more of
Okay, so it's still
transcoding process.
it's still historical. But I mean, this is unrelated to the to what my original question, but just trying to understand more of how the broadcaster works. So
Yeah.
they have historical data that then will give priority to orchestrators that have worked well for them. Is that my understanding that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's so complicated to try to
Yeah, it's like that.
trace that through in the code that I struggle with it quite a bit, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like that magic box that no one seems to be able to ever get a straight or no one ever seems to be able to figure out exactly what's going on in there. But
yeah.
still something that's interesting insight.
I will say though that if you set the cache time to 1 second, so meaning that the every single request that comes in, it asks all routers to ping. And it caches it times out at 2.5 seconds. So like every single I did set that up for a while, and I got perfect test streams on the so I don't know if it would affect me if I was getting streams in above other orchestrators, but I know that from a broadcaster point of view, it didn't consider the 2.5 second response, like it didn't discard it, right? Like it was like, oh no, this is totally acceptable. So
Got it.
So it didn't affect any of my test streams, but test streams are sticky because they just send them regardless of how you feel about them. So, yeah.
And then I remember reading something because I do like again I do track that your guys thread. I mean not as like every single post, but and then what's the deal? What has to happen every like half hour or something? Like that's when that like a token, is there a token that lasts for like a half an hour or something that needs to?
Oh, the auth token that's generated.
Yeah, how does that work?
I think we figured out that needs to be unique for each stream, and that's generated by the orchestrator using a hash algorithm of some sort, a hash over data that also includes the orchestrator secret. So we changed the router to fix this to always get new info from the orchestrator on this. At one point we were caching the orchestrator info response from the orchestrator, but I think we were running out into timeout issues or possibly other issues that I'm not aware of, and so the broadcaster would drop streams or the O would mess up. Titan, do you remember exactly what was happening there?
Yeah, okay. Originally we had it set for every 5 minutes. The token would get renewed, because whenever someone, like I think it was every 5 minutes when the problem was the first stream that would come in, the token would work, and then any subsequent streams that came in after that, the token wouldn't work. And then it became really choppy because we would allow it to update every 5 minutes. So then there was this weird inconsistency, whereas like if you only were getting test streams, it looked fine because those only came in a couple times a day. But then if you were getting regular streams, it would like not work because it was so weird. So anyway,
it was sending like an old token to a new
stream.
So
the token gets renewed every get orchestrator response. So that is totally fixed. And now we get to just cache. The only information we need to cache is where do we want to send the work. So
right,
and right now that default is 5 minutes. So I was gonna change it back to like a week, and then just make sure that works properly. So it'll cache it for a week on where to send the work, and then the get info authentication token will be for every stream that comes in.
And I've been using an hour for reference for a while now.
Okay, your caching time?
Yeah, I just wanted to get past the half-hour timeout for sure, no matter what. So I was using an hour, and it seems to work fine. I think our next step is John and I are going to look at creating a background loop that'll do that updating and pinging just entirely in the background, so it'll just never let it out of the 1 hour cache time.
Right. So it's just an infinite cache. It's just
Yeah.
It's like that won't even be a thing. Or I guess you could probably set how often you want it to run in the background.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But yeah, the idea would be we never want an orchestrator request to have to wait for the pings to happen, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That'd be the ideal situation.
Yeah. So I guess that would be probably for version 1 we'd want to push is once we get that update done, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So there you go.
Thanks for the update, and thanks for all the work you guys are doing on this. So thank you.
Yeah, and then once that's kind of published and released and people are interested in using it, then we can start doing a whole bunch of like feature adds as we deem necessary, right? We could do failover, orchestrator failover stuff. We could do price routing, pricing routing, job type routing. But some of that would definitely need updates to the broadcaster side as well. Maybe a flag.
Yeah, because the get orchestrator request has nothing. It just has the broadcaster Ethereum address and the signature over that address.
Right.
That's all it has right now.
Yeah. So again, that post that Ben posted, we should all comment and say, hey, listen, like orchestrators should probably know what kind of job is being requested. Like, you know, since we have VOD now, we should probably be like, hey, what you know, what do you want out of me, Mr. Broadcaster? I'd love to provide you a service, but like, is this VOD or live? Because those are going to be two different issues, I think.
Yeah,
And
Marco. Oh, go ahead.
on that though, like I don't know. So I'm thinking back to what Tom was talking about. I mean, they're merging their workflows, right? Did I understand that right from when Tom was talking, or does everybody agree with me with that? So before I go further,
I don't remember that part.
if they're merging their workflows and a segment is a segment in
They
their
did say
workflow,
they were.
go for it, Mike.
Yeah, they were saying they were saying they were going to. Their goal is to merge the VOD and the live stream pipelines. They're separate now, right?
Okay. And so my thought is, I wonder if the job type is basically just gives an indication of what like codec or encoding type H.264, 265, AV1. That might be the only way to segregate it or separate it, because it's still going to use the same process. In theory, if they're using the same broadcaster nodes that are just set up differently for the different ingest points, that it's going to do the same checking for latency and everything, you know? So, but at the same time, those 10-second segments are much different than 2-second segments.
It would
Right,
seem
and that goes back to Ben, what you're saying, like when they hit harder because you're getting a 10-second segment versus a 2-second, likely.
Mm-hmm. So I
Aren't we
wonder if that
also
kind of routing has to be on the O. Sorry, Ben.
aren't we also handling the source profile as well with VOD and not with regular streams, which would be extra costly on our
Like,
decoders, I think.
like we're getting like 4K stuff that's getting
Yeah.
to, like right.
But I think
Yeah, I mean, it just would be super helpful if they would just let us know what the VOD stuff is somehow.
I think VOD also we transcode back into the source the source bitrate, but try to compress it still, right?
Yeah, it's like a repackaging only, almost.
Yeah.
Right. So it's definitely more intensive.
Yeah, but I wonder if that needs to be added on the O side versus like the router side. The O side, there's a serve segment function or the segment endpoint. That's what gets hit. If I remember
I think
right.
that's where like the feature comes in, being able to send certain
Yeah, because
like
then you
job
could pick a
types
different
to.
T, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but do we want to do that from a router side or an O side? I guess because
I think the O has to really deal with that, but I mean, I still think ideally the router is going to still send it to the closest orchestrator. I mean, I know you were talking about before that there's, why can't I just send that to, from Europe to Los Angeles because it's VOD, it doesn't need to be back in real time. But, like Xenon wants their stuff back faster than real time. I mean, they paralyze that to like do like 8 segments at a time versus Livepeer, which is doing like splitting it into 2 segments at a time. So I mean, they really want their VOD stuff coming back fast. So not all VOD requests are not time sensitive. I mean, like I remember Xenon making a big deal about how that they really want that stuff to come back fast.
They're trying to get the parallelization like multiple as high as possible, right? I would
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah,
But-
yeah. So they're doing it like 4 times faster than Livepeer is.
maybe then this type of question is for like this is a low priority question because like we don't have enough work to make us busy even on the like if we did all VOD live like we still have way more capacity, right? So maybe
Yeah, I mean, I think right now that's still.
I think
like,
until
it-
demand comes is probably not as important to segregate lower priority work because it's not really a problem. And maybe that's where
Still,
Hunter's
it'd be
getting
nice to
it.
be able to send it, but it would be nice to be able to like pick like which Ts or GPUs those are going to. Whether you have to run as a split even on the same machine so that you could, because I mean certain cards will handle it better than other ones. I mean if I've got a card that's got more memory, I'd rather send the VOD stuff to that. It's still going to get back fast, but it's not going to.
Yeah, I mean, it's super optimal in general to have something like that. With the 1070, when you start getting more than like 5 streams, you do see a slowdown on the GPU. And it would be really nice to be able to split that up.
I think that's something we could do. We start with the pricing. If we can get the O to identify that this is a VOD work item coming in, then the rest of it I think we've already got built as far as like priority with transcoders. So maybe if we shift the focus in towards the pricing and trying to get that to communicate between broadcaster and O.
The
Maybe it's
problem
in
with
the
using
get orchestrator requests.
pricing is that that's just assuming that you're using only Livepeer as the only broadcaster, which I know currently is definitely is the main one. But so they have like different pricing for the different types of streams they're sending, but another broadcaster isn't going to use the same pricing as Livepeer necessarily, or probably not even.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
it's up
think
to the
you
O
can
to
use
set
just
the
pricing.
price. So if we were able to identify a VOD work item, at least the O could say VOD streams are this price and live streams are a different price. Regardless if it's coming from Livepeer broadcaster or any other broadcaster.
Right, and ironically, if we get paid less to get the VOD streams, which tend to take more resources than the live stuff.
That's why I think it's kind of important for smaller O's too. They might be seeing less tickets since VOD launched. If in general, if like they're counting on a lot of the live stream work. But I don't know. At the same time, when you were testing VOD, everyone got a lot more tickets. So, but in general, I think it has to even out with volume when you lower your price down to 900 to keep getting the same amount of tickets. But that would if we could just identify that link of passing what type of work it is, VOD or live, between broadcaster and orchestrator, I think whether it comes to pricing or prioritization within the O to different transcoders, those parts can build on top of that. I've been curious looking at Catalyst to see what it's doing. I know there's a message queue process involved with VOD and so on, but I would imagine the change generally, because Catalyst uses the Go Livepeer, so maybe even it's just like a flag that gets passed along or something. I don't know. for that RTMP or an authentication hook or something. Just brainstorming.
Is Papa Bear talking?
Alrighty then.
Oh, there you go.
No, oh no,
you
sorry.
go.
There's noise behind me, so sorry. It was just my mic's picking it up. I'll mute myself.
Oh, my headphones stopped working. I was confused.
Yeah, I was like, wait, he shows him talking, but like I don't hear anything. Like, what's going on? Cool. All right. Well, yeah, that's the router for you. I'm glad to see where it's going, but I can see how, there's lots of different things we could incorporate into the router, or maybe discussions on what we should or shouldn't incorporate. So it would be really nice once we get that, Brad, once you do like a pull request, we get that live. Then everyone who downloads the router or makes it actually has a function now, whereas I don't think the router has ever actually been used ever, and we all have it in our package, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I think so too. It's been there for a while.
Yeah.
I don't even remember when it came in, but it came in quietly and nobody knew it was there. I
It's
think
been
Papa
there,
Bear
I think.
noticed it a while ago.
Yeah, I asked about it, and they were
ever
like,
used it.
yeah, no one really knows how to work it, but it's in there, go for it. And I was like, yeah, I'm not the right guy to figure that thing out, but, I'm glad it's there.
It didn't even do anything, though. That was the weird part. Like,
it was like a very half thought, and it's just funny that it just made it into every single release, just that everyone puts it on there and no one even really realizes it's sitting there. But yeah, I do remember way back just going, what the hell is this router thing?
The sad, lonely dog that just like it comes along for the ride. But we gave it a purpose. Yeah, Brad, I do appreciate all the work that Brad and John have put into this, so big shout out to them. Okay. That's enough about the router. Let's move on to some other topics. Papa Bear, you talked about stream tests, downloads, times went bad, error handling, observability goals, and talk to us about a little bit of what you're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know where I'm going with that, but it's just because I mean, I noticed that when that happened, like this happened to me in Los Angeles, where just my times went up. I mean, it wasn't like they were bad or anything, but they just had gone up like significantly, and I wasn't getting regular streams during that time. I'm actually still not getting regular streams in LA. And it's just kind of like, is it something on my end? Is something going on with Livepeer? I just, it's just kind of like, don't know how to even troubleshoot or anything like that. So I was just wondering if anyone had any just ideas for whether there's something on our end we could do to troubleshoot things like that. Or, I mean, because I ran an MTR for several hours at different times of the day, and nothing, looked like there were any. I didn't see any issues. Pinging it was all the same, times as normal. So I just don't know. I was just sitting there going, I don't know why now my downloads are taking, 20 milliseconds longer than normal. It was just kind of like I have no idea. So there was just kind of like, I just felt kind of like helpless. I was just sitting there going, I don't know what to do. So that was just kind of it. I was just wondering if anyone like what do you guys do when you see something weird going on like that, or if anyone's ever even experienced anything like that. And I mean, they've now gone back to normal times as of this morning. So it was, but for like 3 days, it was like boom, they just all went up like the exact same amount for like every test, and now they've gone down. I haven't changed anything. I mean, I know the internet's the internet and things change on it, but it did seem to be very consistent for like for that 3 days period.
It saw you had 5 gigabit internet, and it said, hold up, we better do some loop-de-loops before we get to this guy.
Well, I mean, I had it before, and everything was going nice and smooth, and then it like was like, wait, what the hell's going on here? Now it's like it's like I got a 100 megabit connection. Now even that shouldn't have made a difference. So yeah, I don't know what was. It was just it was just kind of like it was driving me nuts. I mean,
I see it too. My test streams go from like 1 second to 5 seconds for no reason at all.
And I mean, if it's just like
fixes itself.
one, but is it like one, or does it go like that for like for days at a time, or like for several?
I
Like
think
for me, goes in
It's
like
at least
batches.
several test streams because the 3 LAX like test streams all will do that. They'll all go to 5 seconds.
Oh, and you
And
saw it in
then
LA,
a
on
day or so
LAX
later,
specifically?
they'll just go back down. I don't really do much about it because I did what you did before, couldn't figure out what was going on, and then it just fixes itself.
Right. So I wonder if Livepeer just has some kind was having an issue, and I mean, for all I know, they just like redeployed the LA or something, after the weekend. But I'm actually glad to hear someone else out because I was going through like a bunch of other like orchestrators things, and I'm like, I'm not seeing these errors, or not the errors, but the increased times on other orchestrators. I mean, I was picking them kind of at random, or at least some of the people that I know tend to perform well and consistently, and I wasn't seeing them there. So I'm like, is it something on my end? I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm like doing like speed tests; they're all coming back fine. I mean, I was like, I was just like, I have no idea. So.
Yeah, it would be nice to see the observability of the test node, the test stream broadcaster nodes, seeing their logs would be.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, what you brought up before, it'd actually be, I mean, more important to see the actual broadcaster ones because, um, I mean, I guess it should be the same because I mean, I'm still not getting any work in LA. I mean, like I'm getting like, I mean, I was for a long time the #1 performer in LA, and my stake is pretty high, and I'm getting way less streams than people with either equivalent or less stake than me in LA that aren't performing as well. So I'm just like, how is that? Like, what's going on?
Are you getting any work in LA?
I mean, almost nothing right now. I mean, I get like a tiny little blip and it doesn't really stick. But like I'm getting work from you. Like I joined your pool actually partially to see how it went, and I seem to be getting. I think it's coming from LA.
You're connected to Toronto as well, so.
And I think this one. But I did see something from. I mean, I definitely saw some work from LA coming in that was going for longer than I'm getting. I mean, I'm getting like it looks like almost
your
like
performance,
just like little tiny blips.
Your performance to LA is just ungodly. Like it's you literally on single segment, like just on like 480p segments, you're sending them back as fast as your like machine can transcode it. Like your local real time is 0.06, and then your local real time for LA is 0.6. It's like
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm close to your server, and yeah, it's coming back fast. I mean, I got 5 gigabits out, and it's not being used for anything else really right now. So
be honest, you just rented an apartment really close to the data center, didn't you? Just put a couple
well, it's
computers
funny.
in there.
It's funny. I actually found this because I was when Titan was first getting his pool rolling, and I joined it to just check it out. I realized that I was getting better times going through, like I was getting better times through his VPS than just running the orchestrator right here out of my house. So I ended up actually at one point I was running a split OT in LA, which was like frustrating because I was getting better times sending it to the VPS and then to the Livepeer. So like having that middle orchestrator was getting me better results than running combined in my own place, which was really odd because it was like one extra hop to go through him than to go direct. So
did we ever figure out why that happened?
No idea. No idea.
Really bizarre.
I mean, obviously that the VPS is extremely close to.
I think it's in the same data center. Like it.
I mean, very possibly. And then I even switched to another VPS at one point, which was like getting even a slightly better. I mean, the ping times are like under a millisecond, so I mean, it's like it really doesn't matter. But I was getting better times like that. And then once I upgraded to the 5 gigabit, I was getting better times combined here. I mean, the original download is still slower because it's further away, but the overall round trip is faster.
I must say, Papa Bear, since you rejoined the pool, you're now #1 on the leaderboard for NFTs. Congratulations.
Oh, I saw you upgraded my my test speed. Thank you.
You're the only one with that achievement. But
I feel honored.
But clearly, speedtest.net doesn't doesn't recognize people with that high.
Doesn't
speed.
handle the high bandwidth very well.
Well, I guess it worked when you went to the speedtest.net website, but
Yeah, oh yeah, it works on the website, but I don't know why the CLI doesn't do
the
it.
CLI doesn't do it. So I don't know. The CLI just like limits you. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But nonetheless, congratulations.
But yeah, I guess it's just
tied for
routing.
number
There's
one.
just weird routing things happen on the internet. That's, I guess, the bottom line as far as just something to always keep in mind. But yeah, I have no idea why it was faster to go through an extra server that was basically in the same data center as Livepeer.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. So any last comments on that observability goal, Papa Bear, or are we just in agreement that yeah? We
I
can't
mean,
wait
I
to see
guess
some
it would just be
broadcaster
really,
logs.
again, like, it would be very handy to see the broadcaster logs because I feel like I should be getting work in LA, considering my performance is good. And I don't. I get more work in LA through your pool than I am on my own node. So I just think that doesn't seem right. So I'm curious to see why. I guess it's going to show why an orchestrator was picked. I wish it would show why you didn't get picked, because I'd like to know if that. I mean, I don't know. I'm at a loss. I mean, basically, yeah. My LA. Let's see, for the last 24 hours in LA, my average LA stream, if this thing ever reloads, is 0.2 sessions.
Yeah, but I
And
think
that's higher. And that's higher than it has been. But I've seen other people that have better. So, like, I mean, like, I know Pawn, because he's got a public dashboard. I see him having streams in LA from Las Vegas, much more consistently than I do.
I think Las Vegas. Yeah, who's running a Las Vegas broadcaster?
It's not a broadcaster. That's just where his node is that is close to LA.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I keep getting get orchestrator requests from Las Vegas, but that's Marco. That's right.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There you go. Okay, that answers that. Cool.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's not a huge thing, but, like, just looking at Pawn over the last 24 hours has like 1.14. I have a point. What was it? 0.2 or 0.02? What was it? 0.2. So, I mean, 5 times the amount of work to Pawn, and we have actually very similar stakes, so he's a good comparison. And I've got, but I mean, I guess the test, or from what Brad's saying, as long as you're within us, it's not as important to be like the fastest, but I would still think I would get a few more jobs. And it's not like, oh, it was just this last 24 hours. I mean, it's pretty much been like that for weeks. So
one thing we have to keep in mind is the amount of orchestrators on the network that are coming on that are actually doing work. Because it's really easy for us to go, oh, like the amount of work is changing, but like stake changes quite a bit too. And stake, like in the last year, stake has moved drastically across the network. So got to keep, and we probably added 20 more performant orchestrators or something like that. So
yeah, but I am comparing myself to other, orchestrators with similar stake, and similar, or actually performance is not as good. So I would think that, I'd be in the ballpark, and it's, hey, day to day I get it, but over a long period of time for it to just be considerably lower, I feel like something's amiss.
Yeah, it would be great to be able to see the on broadcaster side. One idea, I've thought about if there's a way to do like a token gated type of website where you could, as an orchestrator, it validates that you are an orchestrator, and then you can access logs or something like that. If there's a need to secure them.
You mean from like for Livepeer, if they don't want just anyone to be able to take a look at that?
Yeah. I think that'd be neat. You could build a lot of orchestrated resources around a token gated type of deal too, but
whatever. Yeah, I mean, as much info as we can get, I'm all for it. Because just when sometimes it just gets frustrating trying to figure out what's going on.
Just as a note, if back in the day, less than like half the orchestrators on the network were transcoding. I'm just looking at the trailing 90-day fees, and right now, only the last page, if you search by trailing 90-day fees, there's 10 orchestrators have not earned anything in 90 days. So that means arguably 90 of the 100 orchestrators are doing some type of work.
Well, not necessarily, right? Like we know that the Binance account can't really transcode, but it still gets paid tickets.
Oh, right. Okay, never mind. Yes, that's right. People get sent tickets for not doing anything. Right.
Right.
Okay, never mind. Can't take that back.
Which will hopefully be fixed at some point, but hey.
Yeah. There you go. Cool. Oh, Brad left. I was going to do introductions for him. Flo, I see you've joined us. Flo, how are you doing, sir? Would you like to introduce yourself on a topic?
Hey, hello everyone. Well, I saw that I have few problems this week on test transcoding, but I was doing a lot of things on my cluster this week. So I don't know if there is some problem or if I did something wrong.
There you
Could
go.
be both. Yeah.
I think both, yeah.
Very good. Either way, thank you for joining us, Flo. Great to see you again.
Thank you.
I quickly want to bring up the topic of Zero. So two things. The Arbitrum drop happened. So I know that we had a separate thread for that open. Did anyone not get their Arbitrum tokens or are confused on how
Anyone
to get
send them
them?
back to the contract address? Like, I don't understand what happened. Did you see in the Arbitrum Discord how many people had apparently sent them back to the contract address?
No, I missed this. What happened?
Yeah, well, there were two things. So I was just curious. So I went into the Discord, Arbitrum Discord, and there were just like countless messages from people who had they'd mistakenly sent their tokens back to the contract address. And I was thinking like how like how did that how would you got to like really make an effort to do that. I mean, especially like, I mean, if you're a rookie person, like how would you even like how did that like I get it, sure, a couple people may have done that, but like I mean it was just like message after message after message. And then I think I saw one of the mods in there say that there was some sort of sweeper bot that was misconfigured that was sending them back to the contract address for people that were hacked. But I don't know if that was the case for everyone. But I can't tell you how many messages I saw in the Arbitrum Discord of people that like got their tokens and then sent them mistakenly back to the contract address.
Oh, geez. Sounds awful.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, again, if it was a few, it would be like, okay, yeah, I think, this stuff's, if you don't do this stuff on a regular basis, sure, you can make mistakes. But it was like, I can't tell you how many, like the day it happened and the day after, like that's basically the only conversation that was going on in there.
Oh, geez. Yeah,
And you got to love that someone actually wrote a bot to steal these people's tokens and screwed it up and sent them back to the token address on top of it. So I'm like, what was going on with that token or with the contract address that made it so?
Wait, it was a bot?
Well, there were. I think there were two things going on. I think some people were just for whatever reason mistakenly sending them back, but there was a bot that was, I guess that people had, people that had been hacked, that was that I guess it was misconfigured and it was like claiming the tokens and then sending them back to the contract address.
Jeez.
I saw one of the mods make that comment. I don't have any confirmation other than seeing a mod, make that comment, but it happened so many times that has to be what a lot of them were. Like maybe these people were actually claiming them, but then the bot would come in and just instead of sending them to their own address, but but can you imagine you made a bot and then still ended up screwed it up?
Right. I feel like, well, we got to see the testing of the network that day, and I don't think that went very well either. Like, it was very hard to do anything on the network during that airdrop.
It definitely hit the network hard. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Like I was trying to just do regular live like Titan node pool stuff, and it was like just error, like couldn't interact with the blockchain. Just constantly telling me gas limits and gas fees, and get like just like base price of the fees were just completely misconfigured, and I was like, wait, what? Like this has been working for like long time. Like what's going on? And then I went to go interact with it on MetaMask, and MetaMask was like, I also am screwing up. Like, and you had to just wait 5 minutes before it would work again.
Yeah, you could have put the RPC for MetaMask to what do you use, the community node? You could have.
I did.
Community node.
And I
Yeah, I moved. My RPC was having problems with Arbitrum in general, trying to claim that contract. So it wasn't, the RPC necessarily was bad because Arbitrum was overloaded, but even individual operators seem to have problems with things.
I switched my MetaMask RPC to both the community node and like the other one, and like it didn't matter. It didn't matter where I sent the RPC. I get the same error.
Well, I think the sequencer was probably overloaded too, so even if you're using your own RPC,
right?
If the sequencer is not setting the data back, you're still have that single point of failure.
That's right.
Remember, they didn't lift the Arbitrum as beta off of their site, so
they did or didn't.
Did not. So it is still beta.
Yeah, it's still beta. So, well, I'm glad we got this airdrop. I think that's pretty cool. Not sure what governance tokens are good for, so it's interesting. It's an interesting discussion, but
did anyone cash out on the peak? I know a lot of folks are talking about it, but you had to be real lucky to get that, $18 cash in.
Well, it wasn't 18, it was like 12. But
I forget what the number was. I know I wasn't selling mine, but I was just curious if anyone else was able to cash in.
yeah, no, unfortunately, I didn't know that you could claim through the contract, because obviously their main site was down for hours, so nobody could claim. But the smart people who claimed through the contract were able to get their tokens, and there was about a 15 minute period where you could trade and sell at around $12.
I wonder what the volume was at that. Like, I wonder how many
We
tokens
checked.
actually
We looked. A significant
what
enough to sell off some tokens, for sure. I mean, 15
That's
minutes
crazy.
of trade at that level is enough to squeeze some sell orders in there.
I think I was
For
still
folks
sleeping.
that don't. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, if I would have had my tokens at that point, I would have definitely dumped them all.
Although I will say, I tried to dump them on Kraken, and like Kraken had delays. It was like, yeah, they were
I didn't
getting
see
pounded.
it shows up. Kraken supports the ARB token. I didn't even see that on there. When I looked.
Yeah. They supported it just the minute one, so you could on Kraken.
I was looking all over. I didn't see it anywhere on there.
Kraken.
Every time I type in ARB, it was like, nope, nothing.
Kraken, no, it listed, and it started trading at $8 when it first.
Yeah, on MEXC Global or whatever that exchange is called, it started trading at about 12 or 13.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And don't forget, if you haven't claimed yours, you can still go get some. So like, you don't like feel like you missed the opportunity. Go get your tokens. If you use Arbitrum, you can still claim. Go get them.
Yeah, I think there's like a 90-day cutoff or something like that.
I sold the bunch.
I wonder if it's crack. I wonder maybe just Kraken US doesn't support it, because I don't see it on there. I still don't.
Kraken has a US version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think Kraken US has it.
The US version of almost all.
Well, that's US is like GIMP. Everything's crippled in the US with all kinds of concerns. But what I was going to say about Arbitrum token is I look at this as like the early days of Ethereum and Bitcoin, but for Arbitrum, like we've been, working with this for a while, and it seems ancient to us. But if you hold your tokens, I can assure you, in the next couple of years, as these L2s start to solidify and get better, those tokens are going to be worth money. So If you wanted to get it, if you can get it, $12 or whatever Ben was saying, great, that's awesome. You can get that because it might be there a few years from now. But if you can get it now in a quick pop, great. But if not, hold them. They're going to go up. I can assure you. Just hang tight if you believe in any of this stuff. If you don't believe it, I don't know why you're on this call. But if you do, hold those things, man. Don't let them go.
I let a bunch go. I have a rule.
Hey, if you can get cash, for free money, dude, ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, I just traded them. I have a rule. Half of all my airdrops go into a harder asset. That's it.
I think that's a good rule.
And that's smart. Yeah. Again, you're taking free money and you're moving it into something else. That's really good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. You're
smart, man. You're Web3 OG, baby.
Lols. Yeah. No. It's just half of all airdrops go into a harder asset, and it doesn't have to be the hardest. Like it just to be a harder asset. So So, that was good. But it was a fun little day there. And
it was exciting.
It was super interesting to see our Arbitrum node, like the way it performed, because it just rolls up. But we had a whole bunch of activity on our local Arbitrum node. Like it was about lower 50% of capacity of that. Just one.
Yeah, well, that's right, John. You're grabbing blocks and transactions, and what we saw, if you looked at the payout channel during the night and during that day, there were a couple 0.04 ETH tickets out there. Someone won a $70 ticket. There was a nice little gas spike that we forgot what gas spikes were like. We forgot what happens when tickets go up in value. I saw that. I was jealous, man. Like, oh crap, I got a $70 ticket. Like, sweet. Come on, spikes. Let's go.
Yeah, that's exactly what we saw. Yeah. And then it leveled out. So
it's
interesting. When you think about building for capacity, we don't think about building to withstand an airdrop. But if I'd been running, so I just recently switched over to not running Geth locally, just running an L1 uplink. So at least that system was running in that configuration, or else it probably would have had trouble.
Yeah, I logged in, John, at the time, and I think Ben and I were looking at my ARB servers, and you could see the memory usage was going up, right? Like it was definitely, there was a lot more activity. But again, to your point, is like activity that has nothing to do with Livepeer and our orchestrators, but somehow that push is pushed out to all the clients too, which is kind of crazy, but cool at the same time.
Yeah, it was a fun day.
Anyone been following the Zksync era launch and the Polygon ZK launch that's happened? Well, the Polygon one happened today.
Do you want to maybe do like a super quick overview of what Zksync is and ZK rollups are? I know it's like a super important step in the whole Ethereum layer thing, but I don't fully understand it. Maybe other people don't either.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm the right person. I've been listening to podcasts about it over the last week. So,
well, what do you know about it? Like, what makes it good?
3.5 hours of serial podcasting about this. So I'm sure there's someone out here that has more information than I do. But
I can take a crack if you don't want to take a crack.
You can go for it. Yeah. Why don't you go? And then if anything comes up that I can think of, I'll pop it.
If I butcher it, straighten me out.
We're all on the same page. Go ahead, Mike. Zoop.
Yeah. So, again, I'm going to speak just high level. ZK, zero knowledge, right? That's the whole point behind it is how do you prove that computation occurred without actually doing the computation, right? So like in our case, streaming data, like they're doing this like verification process to say, I sent you this, prove that it's that. Like give me some unique value that I could say, if I send you this stream, you're going to always give me back the same value. And that way, if I transcode it once, I know that the knowledge of that computation occurred, right? And it's provable. Like that's the whole point, is being able to prove it without actually doing the work. And these ZK chains that are coming out are exactly that, where if you want to prove that the actual work was done, but you can't computationally calculate it yourself using this roll-up technology, it allows you to say, okay, I can prove that it was done at a very cheap and low computational cost. And that way, a lot of applications don't need to have, these massive nodes to prove that work was done. So, and again, it's a very high level, very basic explanation, but at its essence, that's what it is. Type anything you want to fill in there.
Yeah, I mean that's correct. And yeah, ZK rollups come with like a lot of benefits over optimistic rollups. Some of which are like instant finality to layer 1, so there's no like 7-day wait period. It's just like instant. It requires a lot less data, faster, and a big thing about
privacy is important, like in that case, right, where you don't even need to look at the actual data to prove that it was calculated properly or the computation was correct. Like that's a big thing with privacy, is that if you have sensitive data that you want to prove some work was done, you don't want to have to supply the data to prove it, right? Like supplying the data is sensitive. You don't want to do that. So I think that's another key component of it.
Yeah, and one of the major breakthroughs, like they were doing ZK EVM compatible stuff last year, about 12 months ago. But there's a big difference between EVM compatible and EVM equivalent. And so the reason it's taken a lot longer to roll out this ZK stuff is because the devs thought that EVM equivalent was worth the wait and worth doing properly and seeing if you could even do it at all. And they've basically figured out how to do EVM equivalent transactions in a zero knowledge rollup. So yeah, it's like really impressive stuff. And so yeah, it kind of blows optimistic rollups out of the water. Optimistic rollups have their own like benefits, but ZK is like arguably the better of the options. It's kind of like the Mac Daddy, but there's trade-off and trust things, and it's a lot more complicated too. And things can break a lot. I think things can break a lot easier, and if they do, it's harder to determine what actually broke because it's all ZK. So yeah, it's like a really, really big deal for the scalability of Ethereum. It also comes with a number of transactions. So like one of the developers of the ZK era protocol was explaining how like, so Arbitrum got a factor of 7 times cheaper than Ethereum. Like right now, Arbitrum is, basically 7 Ethereums cheaper. ZKs will start at about 7 Ethereums cheaper and go to infinite because there's a number of, I believe, calls or like certain transactions you can do in ZK world that don't cost gas at all. So, which you would have to pay for gas if you publish other things to the blockchain. So, yeah. And then apparently account abstraction also becomes almost infinitely cheaper with ZK.
Yeah.
So this idea of account abstraction is coming out. They're still working on it. We still haven't like quite figured it out like perfectly yet, but it's coming. And I think account abstraction is really, really important. At least I'm really excited for it because this is something I struggle with security. So when account abstraction comes, it's going to be great, and ZK will be able to handle that type of transaction almost freely. So that's really good.
Did we confuse you, or did we help clarify anything?
No, that was great. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it got the Polygon. So ZK era got released, I think, 3 days before the Polygon ZK, and I think there's a marketing tactic behind that. But yeah, so like 2.
Yeah, they're trying to be the first. They wanted to be the first to say they launched, and that was right. It was more marketing and hype than trying to like be the first rather than, I guess being the first matters. I don't know.
Yeah. And back when we moved to Arbitrum, like one of the questions was like, would we ever go to a ZK rollup? And basically the answer was like, yeah, absolutely. Like Livepeer could move to a ZK rollup. And that's one of the reasons for keeping the Livepeer contract upgradable, was because it's a lot easier to move with an upgradable contract. So,
yeah, I asked that question in the channel. I think somebody was talking about it. I asked it, if it were immutable. They're thinking about going into immutable contracts. But yeah, I think the ZK stuff would be perfect for stream verification, right? Being able to know that, the broadcaster, the orchestrator, whomever verifies it can then prove it with the ZK. And that's, to me, valuable.
yeah.
I mean, it's expensive. I think they were saying that they turned off that verification. Livepeer did, right? Because there was something wrong with it, and it was like just adding additional cost to the transcoding. So you'd eliminate that in verification process altogether with the ZK.
Yeah. So yeah, ZK is like big deal, and pretty bullish on it. Any confusion about that, Ben, or does that help you in the right direction?
That sounds awesome. Then account abstraction is a whole nother rabbit hole, right? That will make it easier to onboard into Web3, I believe, if that's correct. Because you won't have to, the whole MetaMask to sign in thing, I think account abstraction will make that easier from the little I've read.
Yes, it can.
Sweet.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, account abstraction it just allows you to give certain permissions over certain tasks under a wallet. And so, yeah, you can have an infinite amount, not an infinite, but you can basically say, like, this wallet has a separate account that doesn't even need a signature. And so you can just kind of like go and use it and like, but you still have control over it under your keys, but it has no risk to you. So
yeah, like API access tokens for like GitHub. You can go in and say, all right, you can access this repo, this thing. You can read it, but you can't write. You can update this, but you can't update that. And like you can set all those rules up and then basically use that address as a it's like a proxy for your real address as a way to like just keep it hidden and abstract it away.
Yeah,
which is why they call it account abstraction.
I think the first killer app for this is going to be Lens Protocol, because I want to hold the Lens NFT on a secure wallet where you can't transfer away the NFT, but I want to be able to use the Lens NFT on mobile devices and computers that I don't trust at all and use my social media without having to.
That's right.
So that's one of the first use cases for it. And I think that's like a perfect use case of like, I'll just give this account abstracted wallet 100% permission to post on my behalf. And if it gets compromised, the only thing that the hacker gets is the ability to post. And so you're like, oh, dang, that got hacked. I guess I'll have to move my NFT to a different account abstracted wallet where I could restart again. And I still have it, and the hacker goes away, right? It's
funny you say that use case, Titan, because it's kind of like it's parallel to the internet in the Web 1 to Web 2 world where they started people buying e-commerce and all that. Like back then, what you would do is you didn't trust people to put your credit card on because you get cleaned out, your bank account get cleaned out. You could ask your credit card company to issue a temporary number. They'd give you a temporary number. You could use it on the website, buy something, throw the number away, and then you still have your main credit card number where it wasn't like on a website. This was before, all PayPals and Venmos and all of that. But that your credit card would issue a temporary number with a certain balance on it, and the balance would be, whatever you wanted to purchase. And it's similar to that where people are just afraid, right? They don't trust the stuff. And they don't want to use their credit card on some random website. And the same thing goes with using their wallet. I want to use Mike Zuper ETH when I buy songs or buy this and stream and do that, but I don't want Mike Zuper.ETH to be littered with, spam, and, I don't want them to have access to my, funds that are in there or even know what's in there. Like, it just, makes it a lot better and from a privacy perspective. So, but I'm jazzed about that too.
Yeah, I'm bullish. Right. So, yeah. ZK EVM stuff, EVM equivalent, which is the key piece of this, is launched. So, bada boom, bada bing. We'll have to see what Livepeer does. Personally, I feel pretty comfortable on Arbitrum so far. Like, I don't think the calling of reward is overly expensive anymore. Like, it's just, definitely manageable. Even the redeeming of tickets, it seems pretty reasonable.
Gas spikes, dude. That to me, the gas was like all over the place. Now it's like flatlined at a low number. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things from an Arbitrum perspective. Yeah, it's known now versus this crazy world where things like flying up. Even when you moved to Arbitrum before Nitro, it was like crazy gas spikes, and you had to set max gas limits, or your org would get raped when you went and did your reward calls and stuff. Like, again, all that stuff goes away now. It's like I don't even think people even consider that stuff anymore.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, and this is also, I guess, part of the reason that Ethereum like gas prices have come down a lot too. Is it because a lot of this has moved over to layer 2s now? Because I mean, like, it used to cost just so much to do. I mean, I don't know if it was just that one little period in time, but like doing anything on Ethereum used to cost so much money, So do you think? I mean, I know the price of Ethereum has also dropped since when things were.
Well, L2s matter, but I think Ethereum itself with the merge and ETH2 and all of the EIP 1159, or like the burning one, like each one of these things have already like contributed to the stabilization of some of that the spiky gas stuff.
I can't remember the number, EIP 5449 or something like that. I don't know which one it is. It's the proto dank sharding
where they
upgrade.
burn. Oh, that's a new one coming up.
It's the new one,
4484 or something like that.
Yeah,
the dank sharding.
That's the dank sharding, but it's the proto, so it's just the upgrade to the Ethereum to allow blobs on chain, and that allows for rollups to submit more compressed information or something like this, or no, yeah. So rollups become like significantly better after this EIP, like way better. So
sounds good.
Yeah. So that's an upgrade that's happening, I think, in a few weeks. So watch out for that upgrade.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, because I think originally we were gonna go with sharding with the 64 chains, and then they realized like that wasn't even feasible, so they went with dank sharding, which is like just allow blobs to be posted on chain and then allow rollups to compute more of it, more of these EVM stuff, and then submit proper proofs and then let it scale that way. So they're abandoning the 64 shard model and going with this like reliant on rollup model. And ZK is the future. So yeah. Yeah, that's a lot going on in the Ethereum world. Oh, and by the way, great success. I did add 4 more terabytes to my ETH miner, my ETH validator. Partitioning 1 extra drive wasn't too difficult on Ubuntu, so it worked quite well.
Awesome. Nice.
Oh, I forgot to ask you about that. So you're back up, and that's good, man. Glad to hear you're back right.
Yeah, I was down for 7 days while waiting for an Amazon delivery. So, and just, yeah, traveling and stuff. So 7 days of downtime. So, yeah, not too bad for like 6 months being up so far. So, and then, but yeah, just partitioned over the new drive and then copy pasta over the data chain, the chain data file, and away we go.
Did you lose any ETH by being down?
Yeah. Yeah, I got
Oh, no.
you get slashed every day. You get slashed every 6 minutes.
How much, like, how significant is the slashing for Ethereum?
The equivalent that you would have gained. So it's
It
not.
takes him 7 days to get back what he lost. So he lost 7 days. It'll take him 7 days to get back to where he was before his outage. And then
what is
he
that
starts
each
earning.
day? What percentage of yield are you supposed to be getting each day?
Here, I have it on my app on my phone. I'll tell you. I was losing. Let's see. I have it right here. Boom. I was losing 0.00434 ETH a day. So it's $7.40 a day.
Okay, not the end of the world.
No, so I was down $7.40, and it was down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
$50.
8 days. Yeah.
$60.
Yeah, and then
$55.
when I got back online, I was earning $9.75 a day. So actually, I was getting slashed less than I earn. Oh, that's interesting. I thought it was equivalent.
Is that base price at all? The ETH price?
No,
affecting that?
no, because I was going down 0.004 ETH, and when I'm up, I'm going up 0.0057 ETH.
Oh.
That's weird. I thought it was equivalent.
I thought it was equivalent too, yeah. And then immediately after, 2 days in, I produced a block. So there you go. It's like
nice.
So it was like $150 for the block. So yeah, down for a little bit, but yeah, just totally ran out of space on my hard drive.
Yeah, if you guys have the hardware and the ETH to participate in that mining, I didn't stake my ETH yet, but just going through setting up the node, understanding how it works, it's kind of cool, but it's also very intimidating. But anyway, it's just fun stuff.
How long is that 4 terabytes going to last you?
The Aragon chain grows at 16 gigabytes a week. So I think I calculated it out. It was gonna last me about 4 to 5 years.
Okay, well, there you go.
But
not bad.
But I think they prune it. Something happens with pruning it. Like Geth just pruned, and they freed up I think 600 gigs. So.
And you can also store the historical stuff on a weaker hard drive too, I believe.
Yeah. I just.
Yeah, I was talking about that.
It's currently at 1.7 terabytes in size, and at 16. Let's see, calculator. 16 gigabytes a week. 16 times like 52 is 832 gigabytes a year. So it's times 2. 1.3 times 3, about 3 years if it stays on that course.
Not bad.
Yeah. So we'll see. 3 years out of it, and then, but I do believe it gets pruned after a certain while. You can discard certain block. I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't looked at the settings enough.
It's the threshold for what they consider historical transaction. There's a certain period of time they keep everything current. And I think you can tailor that on your current node as well to say, like, it's basically how you depends on how you operate it. So if you wanted to allow queries for more, like older data instead of having a very slow process for doing it, you could change that. So, but again, defaults for all.
There you go. I like it. John, I want to go around to your topic around the testing tool and the pricing models for VOD. Do you want to talk a little bit about your topic?
Yeah, I think we covered it a little bit earlier. We were talking about the router passing pricing. Hopefully a change like this wouldn't affect any other work like the router, but I was just thinking about that link between broadcaster and orchestrator. I think it would be great if there was a way when a stream comes in, we could identify it as either VOD or live video, and then get the pricing adjusted accordingly. I mean, how that gets implemented on the orchestrator side, I think, is still open. But one of the reasons for making it a priority, I think, would be, maybe we have some other orchestrators that haven't had as many tickets since they had to lower their price per pixel. It's just a theory. I don't know if that's really playing out that way, but I know I'd certainly like to get the rate, price per pixel up a bit more, average between 900 and 1100 or 1200. So it's just, I was just some ideas and talking around that. If anyone sees it as a priority in pricing, something to develop. And I was thinking it can go into, that work would be foundational to steering work to a different transcoder based off the type of work that it is, right? Because once you have that from broadcaster to O, then the O can make a decision as far as routing to transcoders. So just leaving that open.
Yeah, I think anything that gives information about, I think anything that gives information about just like how difficult or what complexity the stream is that's being, that's about to be sent, it would be really helpful for orchestrator, like, development down the road, just to be able to route stuff. I mean, whether not even just VOD, but just, number of pixels, formats, resolution, all that kind of stuff, I think could be really handy.
Yeah, I think there is some, that's a good point. I think there is some information that gets just decoded off the stream that comes from the broadcaster to the O. We have the get orchestrator requests, but we'll have to dig more. I don't know if there's anyone on the call that knows about that level, but just on the same level of this is the source format, and this is the format that I need, transcoding options to transcode to, an additional data point saying, this is the type of work that it is, VOD or live. I think that's transferred through like a FF probe today, where it just like probes the segments coming in. But a little more research would be needed there to find out. I just think it'd be a good priority to focus on. It was something that came up like, as soon as the change was made back in February and was put on community as a follow-up item. And I think it would be a really great feature to develop next, as we continue to work on the router and keep an eye on that.
Agreed.
Yeah, I guess not too much of a topic, but if anyone has any thoughts on priority or, additional value adds that could have, I think, again, it would be foundational to helping shift work as well between transcoders. So I think it's definitely a good area to focus. Yeah, if we get that.
So would that need to be done on the broadcaster and the orchestrator to get them to recognize that, or you're talking about doing it through the router?
I think it would need to be done through the broadcaster. And considering that the Catalyst is just a wrapper around Go Livepeer itself, so changes that we made to Go Livepeer should be able to be consumed by Catalyst, and therefore add support to whatever change we make. It might need to be made like in coordination with changes to Catalyst, but in general,
I think there's
there should be a way to, whenever like Catalyst initiates a new stream, how does that information get passed to Go Livepeer? And I guess there's other broadcast implementations, right? If someone's not using Catalyst, so stuff to think through there. But yeah, I don't know. Just brainstorming openly.
I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know how to implement it, but I like the ideas of everything you're saying. So
I think it's super critical to multiple areas of focus. Like I said, basically routing work to transcoders based off type of work, and then also the pricing based off type of work. Would be a really great thing to focus on. So, I mean, I'll be looking at that in the next few weeks myself, at least. And I don't think the router would interfere with it. Ideally, the router's just, kind of routing, right?
It's
the actual communication
picking the closest.
Yeah,
the closest.
What about what other forms of video would we have to consider in the future when it comes to partitioning out different different what was the word? Priority for handling our workflow. Like, you know, we have VOD now and live. Would there be any other different type of work that we would get video related? Because last call I had this question around AI and like whether like Livepeer could do AI stuff, right? And I was listening to this great podcast called Unchained, and basically talked about how AI works, like ChatGPT and like Stable Diffusion and stuff. And what I realized is like none of these things could work on Livepeer. Like it just won't. And I posted a link to the part where he talks about it. So, you know, when it comes to workflows, like what other workflows would we get with video that we would potentially benefit from partitioning out priorities? Or is it just live and VOD?
That is a good question. Yeah, because I was thinking like maybe like doing the overlay kind of stuff, but I think that would come like probably further down the pipe where it's already coming with the overlays and stuff added, unless there was like some sort of advertising overlays that were like needed to be put in real time, or even that still maybe done upstream like through OBS or something. But yeah, I think that would be through like the streaming side, the streamer at the streamer level. Probably easier to do at the streamer level.
I think one other kind of work that could go through Livepeer is like video transcoding, if I got that right. I'm still a little unfamiliar with the term, but like, yeah, there's services like Icecast, and there's hosting services for those. I think there's a need for taking just straight audio and putting it in different bit rates. So that could be an untapped market in general, and something that wouldn't be too intensive.
Audio
transcoding.
Yeah, just audio only stuff.
I thought you just said transcoding, and I'm like, wait, isn't that what we do now?
No, I think
I missed the audio part.
Yeah, no, he meant audio, but
different bit rates for audio. I think there's different formats like AAC and so on, OGG. That would be interesting. I think FFmpeg can already do that type of work too, which makes it even more interesting.
Oh yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
I wanted to bring that up. Like, how interested we talked about this last time, but like, I think John expressed some interest in like making sure that we're FFmpeg like compatible up until the latest version, when we're not.
Yeah, I think that's a big lift, unfortunately. But it would be really nice to have that easier to do. I mean, just from everything I've heard. I mean, I'm not a developer, but from everyone I've heard that's looked at the code, it's just said that it's been so intertwined with Livepeer.
Yeah, I threw that out in the chat. I think it's a good idea. You know, we asked before like what the priority is. I think it should be a priority for 2023. Like probably not like an urgent thing, you know, next 3 to 6 months, but it feels like the market's starting to release things like AV1, and it would be great to have that support. It's not an impossible lift, you know, from what I've seen, but it'll be an event, I guess. You know, you probably have to do some updates, both broadcasters and orchestrators and transcoders, get everybody up to date, I think. It's really, you know, start with the latest FFmpeg and start reapplying fixes. You know, GitHub's your friend. The commit history will be really useful.
GitHub's my friend, hey?
It's the only way through it.
I've been still trying to jump through my GitHub tutorial. I'm about halfway through it. I'm getting it. I'm understanding the concept around GitHub a lot better now, like staging and commits and everything. And I'm like, oh, okay, this all makes sense now.
Yeah, if you've never used SVN before, you might not fully appreciate it.
I don't even know what that is.
I was going to say the same thing.
Subversion was kind of like the days where you would just like commit. It would keep.
Oh, I know what subversion is. That is a disaster. It used to be the greatest thing. Now it's horrible. So, but that's the life of software development right there.
Yeah.
Has anyone?
If I can learn how to squash commits, I'd be all right.
Has anyone used GitHub Copilot X, the newest like ChatGPT integrated code with you program?
I have not.
All right,
I've seen it in action, but excited to try it out soon.
I'm gonna give it a go. I downloaded.
I used the original Copilot, but I never used the new one.
I'm gonna try out the new one. I'm gonna see what it does. See if I can. But
What's this thing with ChatGPT being able to use FFmpeg? Like, what is it actually able to do with video right now?
basically, you can just hop into ChatGPT and you can upload a file, a video, and you can say, "Hey, can you please cut like from 2 seconds to 8 seconds and convert it into MP4 for me?" And ChatGPT will just be like, "Okay," and then it'll just re-upload the file back to you with what you've asked it to do.
How do you upload a file to ChatGPT? You can upload stuff to it?
With certain plugins and things that they're releasing, you can, yes.
Oh, okay. So you need like a plugin to do
I think
that.
you have to use like the Wolfman plugin or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
I did read
hasn't
through
been
that. It was
fully-
late at night, and I forgot about it until you just brought it back
I mean,
up.
it makes me wonder how long until ChatGPT or GPT, the API, whatever thing, can just do what Livepeer does by itself.
Well, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know what kills Livepeer. What makes Livepeer obsolete, right? Is it ChatGPT being like, "Hey, we can farm this out"? Something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Well,
but
if they're going to do it on like a at a data center level, it's going to cost more. So there's that.
well, that's the other. Hence why
Microsoft owns them.
Hence why I posted this video of this guy who's talking about like AI modeling and like what type of GPUs are used for ChatGPT and stuff, and he's like, yeah, he just goes into like what it takes to run one of these models, and it's like it's not something you can like the what is it? The speed between the GPUs is 600 gigabits per second. He's like it's faster to send the data to another GPU to do than it is to just cache it in RAM. And he's like, it's like so. Anyway, it's a cool little podcast. If you want to listen to the point that
They're also talking about running that on a large scale. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, certainly, Livepeer wouldn't be able to pick up that type of work, but
what
I guess I certainly don't know enough about how it works behind the scenes.
But what I'm saying is, ChatGPT running FFmpeg isn't really a threat because that's using those GPUs, but those GPUs don't need to do video transcoding because like you could, it's a single GPU at your house can do it, like a consumer grade, right?
Yeah, that's what I originally thought it was. I thought like you just asked ChatGPT to do it and it does it locally on your own machine. I didn't realize that it was doing it. It was taking the video, doing it on their end, and then spitting it back out.
Yeah, I believe
ChatGPT
everything
is so hard for the average person to use without like some sort of like GUI on the front of it. You'd have to I'd have to ask ChatGPT to write the command to do what you're asking it to do, but I can certainly do it locally. I mean, I have enough hardware here to run FFmpeg, no problem.
Right. Yeah. I guess it was like it was able to compile and use FFmpeg within the ChatGPT 4 model, if that's the right wording. So I don't think it means, I mean, the whole AI thing is weird anyway, because it's just like, yeah, we'll see how it all goes, but if you want to watch, just I took the snippet. It's at 1 hour, 50 minutes in. He starts talking about crypto and AI, and it's a really interesting 20-minute talk about. And I thought it was really interesting, so worth a listen in my opinion. One last topic. I did want to wrap around to Mike Super talking about how to get more broadcasters on the network. Mike, do you want to bring up your thoughts and questions and what you are thinking about this?
Well, again, just it kind of ties into what you guys are saying right now, right? Like, you know, I still feel like the Media Express server, you know, bundled together with a Livepeer broadcaster that will, you know, push the data out to the media. DCDN is the answer, right? Like it gives you the pieces that everybody is looking for, and I just feel like we need to focus more on that, or maybe even you know how to get even just set up some hardware, put up some free streams. Like maybe we could fund it with some ETH and just get something going where people can just start getting used to the idea of a one click, grab my key, pump it into OBS and go, right? Like start moving folks off of these, you know, StreamYard and Caster, and there's a bunch of others out there that are just like, they get you with a bunch of free minutes, and then once you get using it and it's useful, then you got to upgrade and start paying through the nose. So I think you know, there's targeting particular customers, but having the right stack that's Web3 based, that's definitely gonna reduce your cost. To me, this is the area I want to explore. I've been exploring, and I've gotten the media server integrated with the Livepeer broadcaster, but you know, still just not ideal yet.
I think making a way to really to have it more integrated into an OBS would be a big help, because I mean a lot of streamers are using OBS, so to have it right there where they don't have to go out of the app they already know would be a big
I agree.
big help.
Yeah, but what would
They're probably still going to be using OBS anyways to stream into to anything. So I think just having that, even as I don't think it's that hard to get. You know, if you write the stuff, to have them add that as at least a drop down or something for as an option to stream to.
Yeah, you could pre-configure the plugin to use your stream key in your server out the box as a known option instead of custom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
John, you were going to say something?
Then it comes
Yeah.
down to just, you know, marketing and letting people know that it exists and why they should use it, which is always the tough part.
Yeah, I just wanted to build on that idea, Mike. I really like that idea. I've been interested in the same stack. I pulled the Media Express server and got it running as well. And I found where it would integrate maybe with Livepeer, but didn't go through the steps of doing it. So I'd really like to check out what you've got.
Yeah, I have it set up. I saved all my configs. I still have the server. I can bring it up and show you, but I could definitely share that with you. But yeah, it's all integrated. It works great. Again, just trying to look at how to take that. And again, once I got to that point, I started looking at it thinking, well, perhaps I don't even need a broadcaster. Like that's why I started to go down the lines of how do I separate the media server from the protocol? Like if I wanted to send tickets and do everything blockchain, but if you go down that road, you know what I mean, you basically prohibit yourself from participating in the Livepeer studio work, right? Because they have a broadcaster and an org that has a very specific protocol that they use. That's the media server part, but the media server and the protocol for the blockchain is tied together. So like you if you go down a road in which you separate the media server from the protocol, like you could still use the protocol to do all the financial parts, the payment of the tickets and you know all that other good stuff, but you would need to build your own orchestrator node if you would, right? Like, or transcoder, because you would have to have that media server doing the transcoding, or whatever node does the transcoding. You would need to pay. You would have a node operator like Livepeer's node that would have to pay, right, to do that transcoding.
Yeah.
So I think that road's a little tougher just to go down. But again, if you're running your own broadcaster and you have your own customers, then bringing in you could run your own transcodes. You wouldn't even need to use, you know, the protocol. But you know, I'm trying to talk in the spirit of keeping it all tied together. Web3 Livepeer as a utility.
Yeah, and that's where you have to decide where the value would be best added. Either making the ability to set up a broadcaster node easier, kind of like Catalyst has got all these moving parts you have to install.
Yeah,
them,
that's
but, you
right.
know, and I haven't even looked at Catalyst yet. So once I got the Media Server Express running, and you could see like you currently have 4 streams going, and you could drop a stream or edit it and stuff. Like I think that would be great if Livepeer kind of had that out of the box.
Well, that's what I
And
was looking at. That's where I'm at, John. What you just described is what I'm looking at, and I started building. Right, started working around is where you could basically grab this binary or grab this Docker image and run it, and guess what? You pump in an ETH address, and everything just runs. You know what I mean? Now you got a
Yeah.
broadcast, and boom, that's it. And again,
Yeah.
obviously, you need to deposit and stake your broadcaster funds. But I think even putting in that media server that would include the broadcaster, you would have a nice little UI in that admin tool to go in and like call the CLI and update your broadcaster config in a nice way. So like I think it's really doable, and it's not hard to do, and you get all the benefits of, like you said, statistics, streams, and what the bandwidth usage is, like all that stuff that's baked in the media server, you just get as a broadcaster, and it's super easy to set up, and it's super easy to use too. You just click stream now, and you got a key. You go. You're ready to rock. You know what I mean? Like that is just phenomenal. Not that easy with Catalyst.
Yeah, you have to decide whether to kind of reinvent the wheel, so to speak, and building your own implementation of broadcasting in whatever language you want to go with. Like if you did OBS Studio, you'd be writing, I think, in Python to make that plugin. And maybe it's a simple thing where it still grabs the Livepeer binary, but any way that you can decentralize the broadcasting piece, I think that's a win, or at least make it easier for somebody to set one up.
Right, and I think that's the angle I'm looking for, is make it easy for someone to set it up, right? If it could be easy and people can start playing with it, they can start to evaluate it for their own. Like I remember Jarvis, a few months back was in here poking around trying to, if he had a unzip and go, or a run this command and it's up and running, and then all you got to do is fund it, like he would have been far ahead improving the technology for his use case. But it was really immature at the time, and he banged his head. He finally got it to work, but with all the headaches, it looked like it probably just didn't have legs for him, and he just left it. But we got to be prepared for the next customer coming in who's got streams to serve and no way to stream on Web3 world. That's where we got to come in and fill that void.
Yeah, and that, I mean, just to build on it even more, like broadcasting from your browser, Restream has ability, Restream.io, you can just go live from your browser, it detects your webcam and all that.
You're hitting on everything, dude, that I've been like messing with. Like before I even started messing with Livepeer, I wrote up a WebRTC like chat app where you could like live stream and talk over WebRTC. But then what I wanted to do once I got into Livepeer was, how about take that conference, that WebRTC conference, ingest it into the Livepeer broadcaster, and then you could stream like chats and like one-on-one conversations, like training sessions and group, like these little like Zoom type stuff. Like I know Xenon and those kinds of platforms are there now. They weren't there at the time, but I was really looking at that. But Catalyst was like, oh, we could take WebRTC in and we can use that, and then you can use it. I set it up. I couldn't get it to work. I mean, literally, I spent a month on it. And I couldn't figure it out. And then they said it was not quite ready, and come back, and I stopped messing with it. And then Xenon came in, they started doing their stuff, and I see the pains they went through. So I still feel like, there's less painful ways to approach those topics we just discussed than trying to build on Catalyst right now. I figure until they get that thing more mature, I'm not sure if I want to really, because I'm building software, right? Like I'm not going to be in there writing their C++ code for them. You know what I mean? Like that's just not going to happen. So I can't help Catalyst. I can only wait for them to do something. Whereas with Media Server, some of these other techs, even the Go Livepeer broadcaster, like I saw they stripped down the broadcaster into like this, like in their stream testing tool, a little like mini broadcaster. You could take that mini broadcaster and embed it into any app you want. And then now you have the broadcaster embedded in the media server, yet it's isolated. It's kind of like boxed away from the media server. So I think that's
what we need, and like maybe even
I'll share that code with you. I have it. I've gotten part of it to work.
So I know, like for example, if you want to do a total 100% D app, and I don't know of all the technical capabilities with those, but I would assume it would be best if it's all web browser code, as much you can run on the client browser. Like if you had like a SDK for Node.js that deals with Livepeer on a protocol level, like paying tickets and starting streams, that would open up a lot more opportunities. And it seems like probably there's a lot of focus on just the broadcaster experience within Go Livepeer itself, and that's kind of nice that it's all in one place. But if we can pull that back a level to where you can use that in other languages, you could do a lot of different things with Livepeer.
Well, you could, John. That's what I was saying to you. I think if you're just talking about the smart contract interactions with Livepeer, you can do that today. But what you can't do today is you won't be able to leverage your browser thing. You won't be able to leverage the public network, right? Like there's certain things from that the protocol is embedded in their media server. And that's what I was saying is like, you can't, unless you do that on your own, if you have your own broadcaster customers that you're going to serve, you could funnel it through the Livepeer protocol so that it's on chain, but you won't be studio compatible. So like you can't serve the public network, and that's, it leaves you kind of orphaned out there. And I don't like that place, but if you really want a custom solution that's going to be blockchain based, you don't need to rely on the protocol or the studio component. You can just use the smart contracts and leverage the payment system behind it, and you don't need any of the media server. Fascinating stuff, man. I'm glad someone else is thinking like me, and it's good to hear you got the same kind of thoughts, but we gotta find a way to collaborate, man.
Yeah, I spent a lot of different work streams going on at the same time.
I know, that's why I always leave you alone, though. I always leave you alone because you got so many projects going on. Like, I'm gonna wait for him to be free, but this dude's never gonna.
I should be able to start my own broadcaster soon. I think the RBR drop took care of that.
Oh, snap. There you go. I like
Looking
that.
forward to doing that soon.
When you get ready, I'll share all the stuff I have with the Media Express server and the integration with the broadcaster. So you give you a jump start on whatever you're trying to do.
Cool. Yeah, I want to work on that, and that would be so neat. I mean, yeah, we'll have to see how that turns into the product, but I think there's so many opportunities there. Yeah. Even if we start developing, even if we started developing something like sort of commercially, like just that feedback loop would generate some improvements to that.
Well, I funded my broadcaster with 1 ETH, and I'm basically committed to giving it away for free. Like I'm not going to charge anybody. So we can get a site up and get an MVP up. We got $1,800 or $1,700 worth of ETH the bird if you want to go run. And just so you know, I've been running broadcaster streams I've been testing my infrastructure on Kubernetes, and I've been running streams for the last like 4 days through multiple broadcasters, and I haven't paid a ticket yet. So I think that at $1,600 going to go a long way.
There we go. I love it. Sounds like we're going to get some more customers.
Yeah, well, again, if anyone's interested in participating in this stuff, John and I've been talking about, just hit us up, man. I mean, I've got a bunch of work streams going on too, but I still got room for my little pet projects, and this is one that I feel like has a lot of legs for the future.
Very good. Cool. Right on. Well, we've been at this for 2 hours, and I think that's a good note to end on. So I do appreciate you all being here. It's great to see you guys every Monday. Yeah, as always, it's because of you guys this water cooler is successful. Also, a note that there's now apparently a bi-weekly Livepeer API working group. I don't know if anyone knows about this.
What is that?
I forgot about it until you just mentioned it. It's new.
It's put on by Adam Chase Adams. So please be interested in it on the Discord event page. Yeah, curious what that means. what it is, how it works. So bi-weekly sounds great. Hey, we can add more than just water coolers, right? And maybe it'll be more developer driven, which will be cool too. So
oh, this is cool. I didn't even know they had that. I'm going.
Yeah, watch out for that. And
April
Thank you.
5th. Yeah. First one, April 5th.
Last comments
Thank
before we
you.
sign off. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much for joining, and we will see you all next week. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Later.
Thank you.